What is going on, people of YouTube? My name is Kurt Yo. You can see my face again. I'm back with another podcast. This is episode 2. I hope you all enjoyed the last episode, either you watched it on my channel or on Joe's channel. And I'm once again joined with Joe. Do you want to say hello?
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 2 of the... What have you called it?
I don't know, I just called it podcast, I think.
You just called it podcast?
I quite literally think I just called it podcast.
I'm pretty sure I just called it Let's Talk Football.
Oh, you're bringing the series back? I don't know,
yeah,
let me have a check.
the series is coming back in podcast form. But...
I called it the Fantasy Premier League Podcast Episode 1, so I still haven't changed my title.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, welcome everyone. In episode 1 we talked for a long time. It was a very long podcast. This will be shortened down because of the transfers. Will be short, and there's not barely anything to talk about with transfer wise as the amount we did in the last episode. So it gives us more time to talk about the game in general. Hopefully, I'd say an hour at the max, which should be a decent time for a podcast. But we're going to jump straight into things. I want to start with something that is very, I'll describe it at the weekend as a black dick penetrating a teen's arsehole, which was Man City 3, Chelsea 0. That really stunned me because Chelsea, I thought, were going to be good this season. They were poor all across the park. Costa was poor, Fabregas was poor.
Is an understatement. They were piss poor.
Hazard was poor, even Matic, failed to do anything big, but it wasn't just Chelsea playing poor, it was, City playing brilliant and getting their tactics spot on, whereas last season they were playing with 2 up top with Aguero, maybe Dzeko or Jovetic, who've both left the club subsequently. They played, with Silva playing behind the striker, which I think is, means any team playing, travelling to the Etihad or having City visit them is a danger because he's so good on the ball. You've got Sterling with the pace, you've got Toure and Fernandinho who are just rocks in the midfield, you've got Company who, it made it pretty obvious he was back in the gym 3-4 weeks before anyone else. He looks like a leader again, and to be honest, I might have got City and Chelsea the wrong way around because I think I put City 4th and Chelsea 2nd. I think it could be a Chelsea 4th and City 2nd maybe, or maybe even City winning the league.
Is this the bit where I'm meant to talk?
Yes, Joe.
Well, all I can say is I was really shocked on Sunday evening when I saw the scoreline. It was beyond me as to how Chelsea had gone from this formidable side in the Premier League to all of a sudden I'm not going to say the minnows, but they just looked terrible. I think the defence is really showing their age, and their whole team is showing their age a little bit more. Chelsea is an ageing team. I don't care what people say. I mean, Terry getting brought off at half-time to me wasn't a big thing. I would say that Kurt Zuma was brought on for the pace so they could handle Aguero a little bit better. It didn't help, but, it was worth a try. I mean, if I was Mourinho, I would have done the same thing, but... I don't know, I can't explain it other than I was purely shocked, and it has changed my opinion on how I think the standings are going to end up this season. I think Man City are looking too good to not win the league, and Chelsea need a right kick up the arse if they're going to stay up. If they're going to...
Well, if they're gonna, it's a bit dramatic.
If they're going to finish in the top 3. I think what will happen with their new signing, I'm not going to say it yet, as I know he's a segment later. I think that Azpilicueta is going to move into right back, and Ivanovic will start playing centre back, or he'll not play at all.
Well, it's an option. I mean, I did say in I believe quite a few videos that we'll see when he comes to playing at City whether it's just Montero was having a very good game, or whether the pace will hurt Ivanovic. And I watched, I think up until the 85th minute, pretty much when Fernandinho belted his goal, and I thought, well, this is done. This is just turning into rape now. I don't fancy looking at rape, to be honest.
No.
And they were too good, and I think it showed because Sterling, once again destroyed Ivanovic, and just like Montero the previous week, Ivanovic struggled a lot with the pace, and whether it's I think it's obvious, it was obvious when time went on, when he's fit, and like a couple of years ago, he was, very good. He would be able to keep up, outstrength them. You can see his legs are going. His legs are going. They're not, and the working legs he had last season, whether they still play him at right back, I don't think, think it's an option now that they've got the new signing, who I won't say like you because he's a segment later, but to stick Ivanovic maybe in centre back or off the pitch and have Aspilicueta at right back, or maybe you put Fabregas further forward and maybe you put Ramirez next to Matic and have Ramirez maybe sit back a lot and help Ivanovic, because at the moment you stick any pace down the wing and it's looking like Ivanovic is going to get ripped open, and that's worrying for Chelsea. I think it's a changing of the guard. They've got a few old players. I think it's time now to get the new players in, and they need to sign players. I feel definitely need to sign players because no team has signed. I mean, people say they've signed players. They've signed Begovic. They've signed the new player I'm not going to talk about, and they've signed Falcao. All of which, look at the moment, they're not first team players. They haven't improved their first team. Pantic. Who's Pantic?
The Croatian centre mid that they signed and sent out on loan to Vitesse.
Ah, yeah. But as far as new signs in the club, you've got Begovic, who's now the first team goalkeeper, whilst Courtois serves his ban. You've got Falcao, who won't play unless Diego Costa is not fit or suspended, which looks like it could be a lot of times this season. After thought he was almost going to eat some of the City players. He looked that angry. And you've got the new defender again. I won't talk about him. That looks as if you get Ivanovic maybe back to form, he won't be playing. So they need more first team players, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they really need to give Kurt Zouma a chance this season, because Kurt Zouma can be a fantastic player, but they're not giving him the chance to show his worth, show his potential. Kurt Zouma is tipped to be the next Marcel Desailly, and you've got to play him to be able to have that. And you either send him out on loan to another Premier League club, or you play him every week. That's the one thing that Mourinho's got to realise. But I don't know. And going on to what you said about Ramirez sitting back maybe a bit more and covering Ivanovic, the thing is it's going to make their team weaker in the midfield and could expose some errors and things like that and areas where Matic might have to cover a bit more ground, which could potentially injure him and tire him a bit more and might end up going wrong for Matic. But you don't know until it happens, really.
It's a big mess, and I think, I'm going to say this because I'll mention it again later on, probably, but I'm going to be very, original here, and I apologise for the cringiness. Chelsea need a doctor. Now, who might that doctor be? I don't know. That's up to Jose Mourinho. No, but they do need changing. They do need, they need more players. And I think I saw somewhere that Mourinho's been given, some funds from their Russian owner, Abramovich, to sign some more players, which will be good for them, definitely.
But even then, they've got to think about who they're going to sign. I mean, players like Otamendi, he would be a great signing for any Premier League club, but they're going after John Stones, who. Yeah, he could be the future John Terry or whatever his name is, or future whatever. But I would personally, as a man who likes to support his national team, I would rather John Stones stayed at Everton rather than waste his career at Chelsea sitting on the bench like many other superstars that went to Man City, like Jack Rodwell and Sinclair. Two players and Milner, in all fairness, ruined their careers by moving to Man City. Mika Richards is another one. But this same thing could happen to John Stones if he moves to Chelsea. He could be not necessarily forced out the side, but he's not going to play in, week out, and he's going to be just like Kurt Zouma. And the thing that Chelsea need to realise is if they sign John Stones, then Kurt Zouma may even be pushed back to sort of the under-21 levels, and then he's going to want to leave. He could end up moving to someone like, I don't know, Real Madrid for 10 million, and then he could become one of the best centre-backs in the world. You've got to use your resources if you've got them.
Chelsea have so many players that they send out on loan. I've seen the list, and it gets quite ridiculous because they've sent out players, like Salah out on loan. They've sent Van Ginkel out on loan. They've got. It's not as if they're struggling, because every time you look at their squad, and it always looks they're very thin on the ground. You look at their loans, and you see that they could make they could make a Premier League team that could easily survive out of the loans that they've had. It's I don't see the point in signing more players when you've already got it.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like a lot of the youth players at Chelsea, like Nathan Ake. Like he's a centre back, isn't he? I think. And he's probably sitting there. He's gone out loan to a Championship team. I think it was Hull. Has he gone to Hull? No, Watford. He's gone to Watford actually.
Yeah, Premier League.
In the Premier League, yeah. And this year, Aki's going to have his chance to show what he's got the chance to show the Premier League what he's got, which he won't get at Chelsea. And if he wants to succeed at Chelsea, he needs to show that he's good enough for the Premier League. But if they sign another centre back, then Aki's going to be thinking, well, hang on here, I need to get out of this club before they start to drown me in all their players, and he becomes a Championship player.
That is true. We'll leave Chelsea and City for now and go on to another team that 2 games in are in crisis talks. The manager has pulled all the players in, I believe, Sunday morning, and said, look, there's something wrong here. We need to talk. I don't think there's been any update since then. But this team is Sunderland. They fell to a 3-1 defeat to Norwich at home. I saw it. You saw it match of the day, and you saw when they scored their first goal of the match. They got their consolation goal through the young striker they brought on. The stadium was empty. 80% of the people were gone, and that's worrying for Sunderland. It's worrying times for them. They will need players. As well as the fact that their kiddie fiddling winger is out for 2 months as well, so that's not going to help them in the slightest. And Manchester United have just gone up 2-1 up. Depay scored again for LA.
Yeah, you ruined that for me there because he literally just scored.
Sorry.
That's a great finish, actually.
Sorry.
That's
but
right.
Any comments on Sunderland? What do they need to do to change?
I believe, from what I heard, what's his name? Dick Advocate was promised, I think, 5 or 6 quality first-team players. In my opinion, he has not received 5 or 6 not world-class players. He's not going to get that. First-team players. He's received 1 first-team player and a few sort of backup players. But from what I understand from the meeting, he took them all in on the Sunday morning to have this chat about what they're going to do next and all that crap. But to be honest, I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think the players are listening to him. I don't think that they really believe in him anymore because he's lost his first 2 games. But the thing is where I think they've gone wrong is they've started the season with Yunus Kabul and Coates at the back. For a team like Sunderland, and this isn't me taking digs at them, I would personally, even though I'm not huge fans of these 2 centre-backs, I don't know if Wes Brown is still there, but Wes Brown and John O'Shea have the experience in the defence to maybe see out a few, not necessarily victories, but maybe even win them a few single draws or things like that. They've still got quality despite their age and lack of pace. I think that one of them with Kabul would be a much better option than having Coates in there, because Coates hasn't got the experience or the knowledge of the game in the Premier League to handle himself out there, and he showed that against Norwich the other day even. I would pick John O'Shea over Coates any day, and maybe we'll see that on Swansea, but against Swansea, but I doubt it due to the Jefferson Montero threat, I guess you could say.
Phil Bardsley's got it covered, don't worry.
Oh God, yeah.
But one thing is with Sunderland, I mean, I'm not here at all these games. I don't hold myself up to be, at all these games, sitting there, watching every minute of every game, analysing it. I watch it on the highlight show, I watch Match of the Day, I watch it on any news thing that has it, I watch Goals on Sunday. I also, I'm a big fan of Monday Night Football, and I, happily watch Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher talk football for, a good 40 or 50 hours. I mean, I think their content is incredible, but I'd like to say I'll be that way myself one day, but I doubt it. But looking at Sunderland, one thing they've lacked is the pressing. I mean, they're very good on the attack. No, let's not get anything wrong here. They've scored more goals than Man United, more goals than Liverpool. With Defoe up there, you've got the young striker, you've got Lenz, I think it is, Jermaine Lenz, am I right?
Yeah.
And also, Stephen Fletcher, who unfortunately has scored his 1 goal a season, so there's no point playing him anymore. But you lose the ball in their penalty area, and you've seen it in both the games. The ball will just go straight up, and the ball will be in line, like in their final third, before they've even put any pressure on the ball. And you've seen it in Everton. Everton, are very good. They're very compact. They'll get the ball up to the final third, but when they get it there, they'll pressure, and that's where the defence is so good, or so I'd say, dangerous for Everton. Sunderland don't pressure at all, and it just makes it so easy for teams just to walk around them and plop the balls in. And if people are right in saying Norwich are to be going down, they're one of the weaker teams, to get beaten 3-1 by them, Sunderland are in trouble, and I think they do need. I think they need a new manager, like they have started. I think all of the last 17 seasons with a few poor games, sack the manager, move on. They need to get someone in with stability. Maybe Big Sam. I'm chugging
I have
a good
said
manager for him.
I've said that I think that Big Sam would be a fantastic manager for Sunderland. I mean, those sort of names, Sam Allardyce, not so much Steve Bruce anymore, but Sam Allardyce and Tony Pulis, those two people know how to keep a team in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And that they could I would say they'll successfully keep Sunderland up if they came in at the right time. I have heard that if at the end of the transfer window Dick Advocate hasn't been given what he wants, he's going to walk. Because he wants a few more first-team players for him to succeed, and I don't see why he shouldn't get them, but at the same time, it seems like their owner isn't. He thinks their squad's good enough as it is, but if you're listening, Mr. Ellis Short, the Sunderland owner, your team's not good enough.
It's 50% both sides, though. I mean, as much as signings haven't been there, you look at Lenz, maybe he was an okay signing. Cabal, okay signing. Quartes, not a first team signing. Look at other players they've signed, not really first team players. But the football is poor from Sunderland. It's incredibly poor. And to get beaten by 3 to Norwich and by 4 to Leicester, it's I can't think of the word, but it's something that needs to change.
It's abysmal. You cannot do that. It's the defence is clearly leaking goals, and it's something that needs to be patched up. Whether that's signing a new defender or getting the right man in for the job, that's a different story. But one of the biggest mistakes they've made this season is selling Connor Wickham for $7 million.
Yeah,
that's an absolute bargain for Connor Wickham. He's a very good player, and a lot of people do not rate him. I rate him very highly, and they made a big mistake letting him go. But they've loaned Yanam Villa. Didn't he get sent off in his first reserve game for headbutting I think.
It just proves that he's obviously born to be in Sunderland.
That's the thing, though. I mean, they've signed Yanam Villa, who I would say is a first-team player.
Yeah, definitely.
But he's going to be suspended week in, week out. So that was a terrible signing, once again.
Don't worry, they'll sign better players. Joe Barton's going to start coming next. And when Yanam Vila's gone, Joe Barton will come in. Then when Joe Barton gets sent off, Yanam Vila will be back. Just switch it around.
Yeah, they can have Kevin Nolan as well if you want.
Kevin Nolan gets sent off, scores 2 goals. Gets sent off, scores 2 goals. Story of his career.
I mean, to be honest, if he actually did that for West Ham, I wouldn't be too annoyed because then, at least you think about it. If sent off, well, it depends how many games suspended you get. Say if it was 1 or 2 games, he's going to still score like 19, 18 goals in a season.
yeah, that's a good point. Not that we're condoning getting sent off just to score 2 goals. I mean,
but the thing is, he doesn't do that, does he? He gets sent off and doesn't do anything.
But we'll move on to a team which I want to talk about, and although I think they are winning 2-1 at the moment. Is Tottenham, Manchester United, who are winning games, but they're looking incredibly boring, and it's worrying because they're getting through games 1-0 against Spurs, which they scraped. They shouldn't have maybe won that. 1-0 against Villa, they were lucky to get that. Villa didn't really trouble them, and against teams like Villa, they'll be able to get away with that. But there's no attacking threat. They don't look like they're gonna score goals, and it's worrying for United because when they come up against big teams. I feel like it could be maybe a season like David Moyes. You get 1 goal against City, they're gonna smash 4 past you though, and it's worrying times for United, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I don't think that Man United have looked like the team that they expected to be. I think that this whole De Gea Man United saga, Real Madrid saga even, is going on too long.
Yeah.
De Gea's got to decide if he's going to stay or if he's going to go. Because if he's going to go, Man United, you need a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Sergi Romero's good, but he's not quite Carlin. You need to get a not even a world-class goalkeeper, but a very good Premier League goalkeeper to fill in that gap that De Gea is going to leave, because De Gea is probably the second best goalie in the world, maybe. I don't know. I mean, Neuer's good, but I prefer De Gea as a goalkeeper myself.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing they need to do. But second of all, Rooney is a 20-goal a season man. But he doesn't look like he's going to score 20 goals this season. He looks like he's going to score 10, if that, at the moment. He looked terrible in front of goal, and they need to sign a striker who I believe is going to be Thomas Müller.
Yeah, it is looking that way.
But even then, Thomas Müller is a good player, but then, of course, Rooney's going to get pushed back. So then Mata's forced out wide. You got Depay out wide. And it's just going to mean that someone is going to get pushed out of the team. And Jan Uzaj has actually looked like one of their better players again this year.
Yeah, he started off brightly.
Yeah, it's just not looking like he's going to stay in the team if Rooney gets pushed back, because they'll think, who's the most indispensable player? Well, Rooney. Then after that, I guess we'll have to push Mata out wide because he's too good of a player to have on the bench.
Yeah.
The Man U have got serious problems, and their fans do not notice that or know it. And soon it's going to hit them in the face when they lose to Man City or someone like that.
Yeah, I have to agree. They need something going forward. I mean, you look at the teams they've played. There's been, I think standout players were Herrera. You look at him; he performed brilliantly. I think, I think Darmain needs to learn to go forward, because much as Darmain's been solid at the back, one thing Antonio Valencia did do very well was he got forward very well and he tracked back very well. He was very good at getting forward, and although people criticise him for just getting balls in, he would pummel ball off ball in. Sooner or later he's going to break. You got Shaw attacking forward as well. Daily Blind in centre back, as he hasn't conceded yet, so I can't really say that's a bad move from him.
I don't agree with that. That's a terrible decision.
I think he's a holding midfielder, but you look at Herrera and Fellaini, they're both good players going forward. Fellaini can play off the striker well. And you look at the midfield they're playing. You've got Carrick, who you could say holding midfielder. You've got Schneidlin, who's a holding midfielder. You've got Schweinsteiger, who's a holding midfielder. And they're considered the three best midfielders they've got, with Herrera coming onto the pitch as well every game, about 60-70 minutes, just to come on, see the game out, add a bit of pace into midfield. And they do need to play Herrera more, I think, because they're too defensive, which will haunt them in the attack, definitely.
Yeah. I've just been reading up on something on Sky Sports, and it says Gary Neville feels Man United must reinforce up front to complete this season. What can I say? Me and Gary, we think alike, me and him. We're very close. I get on very well with him. Yeah, very good legend on FIFA.
Oh, what do you hurt me?
Yeah, Man U need to strengthen their team if they want to win the league.
Yeah, agreed. And lastly, I want to talk about one thing that surprised me a bit. I mean, admittedly, I have criticised this team a lot and saying they won't do what they're going to do. But a team that looks very different, and worryingly so for the fans' point of view, and I'll point this game out to you, is Southampton 0, Everton 3. As much as Lukaku was looking very good, the Saints were poor.
Yeah.
And they haven't played very well. And it could be seen as like a worrying time for Saints fans, definitely. Because with the 2-2 draw against Newcastle the following week went on to easily get swept aside by Swansea 2-0, no real threat of Newcastle doing anything going forward. And Southampton lost to Everton 3-0. I don't think it'll be the barnstorming season of last season, but I think they started off very poorly.
I watched the game and I completely agree with you. Southampton looked terrible. Everton looked really good. Lukaku was on fire. Aruna Kone seems to have a bit of a partnership with Lukaku, which is quite good for Everton. But
yeah,
one thing that I hope that finally Southampton will come to terms with is the fact that you can't keep on filling the gaps of the players that they're letting go. Because they started off last season, selling Lallana, Lambert, and not having Rodriguez.
And
Lovren, yeah. They have 4 gaps that they managed to fill quite well. Mane, very good player.
Yeah.
Pele, did well. Who else did they sign? It's gone over my head.
No, they had Alderweireld on loan, I think.
Oh yeah, Anderveld, he was good. But this year they've sold Klein and they have sold Schneiderlin. Now these are two players that are pretty irreplaceable in your team, and it looks like this year they're finally going to get their comeuppance, and they might struggle a little bit more.
Yeah,
Just,
definitely.
I mean, you can't keep on filling gaps with duct tape because eventually it's just going to leak through. I meant pipes, not gaps. And Southampton seem to have duct taped their team from the start, and it's going to get to that point where, I mean, they've replaced Schneiderlin with Jordi Claessy, who is not a proven player at all. He's had a few good seasons in the Eredivisie, and all of a sudden he's playing for Southampton. But I don't know. We'll have to wait till the end of the season. I don't want to say anything yet, because I know that Southampton will beat West Ham about 7-0.
Ouch. They have made a few good signings. They've got Stelkenberger in.
I don't rate him. I don't rate him.
I think for a backup I'm not even sure where Forster is, to be honest.
Injured.
Oh, he's injured, okay.
Yeah,
But as a backup, I think he's a decent backup to have. They've got Corcoran on loan, I think is a good signing. He's a good player and good future for England, hopefully. Come 26, he'll be at the standard maybe to make a break into the England team, like at the late time, like Jagielka did, and he's become a big part of England's team. They've also signed Cedric, the right back. Romeu, they've signed. They've got a striker called Juanmi. I'm not sure about him. And Jordi Claessy, who you get again. He's not a direct. He's a defensive midfielder, not a direct replacement for Schneiderlin. They're signing the players, but they haven't got the like for like changes, because there's no one like Schneiderlin there. There's no one like Klein there, and that's the worrying part.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I can't really think of many players in the world right now that could be a perfect replacement for Schneiderlin, because Schneiderlin's quite a unique player. Not in the way of he does the dirty work, but he's also a playmaker as well as doing the dirty work, and that's very hard to come across these days. And Man United have bagged themselves quite a signing there, if they use him correctly, of course. And Nathaniel Klein's a fantastic attacking fullback. There was no doubt that sooner or later someone would come in for him. Liverpool have snagged him. Southampton, I think it was a mistake to let him go. If they want to succeed, I mean, they're in the Europa League now. They did well last season to get into the Europa League. But if they want to succeed, they can't keep on selling their key players. And this is the one thing that I've said about West Ham, and that's the thing that we have to stop selling our key players, like the youngsters and the people that have come through the team. As soon as they start doing well and you get a decent bid for them, you sell them. You just can't do it anymore, because otherwise the big teams are going to get all these players, and you're just going to end up falling into the wind.
Don't
remember
sell
the team
Reece
that. I swear, if we do, I might quit West Ham. I'm only joking. I love them too much, but it's like remember the team Portsmouth used to have. You name their players: Kevin Prince Boateng, Pedro Mendes was a good player back then.
Yeah.
I mean, he's retired now, so he's not really that good. But Kevin Prince Boateng is a name in itself that doesn't need to be repeated over and over again. He was in the Portsmouth team.
Kevin Prince Boateng. Oh, sorry, carry on.
I'm done.
No, but it's definitely a worry for Southampton. You look at the stat. I saw the whole last season on the counter attack they conceded just 2 goals, and this season after the first 2 games on the counter attack they conceded 3 goals. That's worrying. They don't have pace. I think that's what they're being haunted by at the moment, the lack of pace.
Yeah. That's because Awanyama is not the quickest of centre defensive midfielders. Jordi Claessy, I don't know if he's played yet.
I don't think he has.
I don't recall him playing. But Cedric is not the same pace as Nathaniel Klein. Alderweireld has been... He's gone to Spurs. Who have they replaced Alderweireld with? That's
Kulka.
Kulka. Well, Kulka's got the pace, but I don't know if he's ready yet, to be honest. I've not got much to say about Southampton, because their team's changed so much over the years. I think that they're playing the game of football in the wrong way.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on now from all the results. I'll just give you the results in general. We have Aston Villa 0, Man United 1, West Ham 1, Leicester 2, Watford 0, West Brom 0, Spurs 2, Stoke Alona 2, Swansea 2, Newcastle 0, Sunderland 1, Norwich 3, Southampton 0, Everton 3, City 3, Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2, and Liverpool 1, Bournemouth 0. We'll move on now to something that I know you wanted to talk about, and I'll let you introduce that now.
English players.
Oh boy.
Now, English players is a topic that has come up recently in the, I guess, in the English sort of news hemisphere, and it's been something that's been going around and around for years and years. As soon as England fail in an international tournament, it's something that will come up as something like, oh, our English players aren't appreciated. And that is because of a few things. A, because English players are too expensive. And B, we don't give youth a chance. And that is for a number of reasons. And that is because the foreign players in this world are a lot cheaper than the English players. For some reason, English talent, even though it's not even anywhere as near as good as some talent out there, is absolutely the most important thing in the world. So Raheem Sterling, 49 million. Guess how much Real Madrid signed Toni Kroos for?
I'm not sure.
26 million.
There's a difference.
Toni Kroos is probably one of the best midfielders in the world. Raheem Sterling, yes, he has a lot of potential, but he's not shown it yet in the past season or two. He's shown that he's going to be a good player, but he's not shown to me that he's worth 49 million, and he doesn't warrant that. And another thing is the link between John Stones and Rio Ferdinand. So Rio Ferdinand was bought back in 2002 by Man United for 30 million. And Ferdinand had proven himself by then that he was a good centre-back. He was definitely a world-class centre-back back then. John Stones has played a season for Everton, and he wasn't even that good last season. Yes, he has shown that he's matured over the year, and he does look very good this year, and I will give him credit where it's due, but he is not worth this talking of 40 million for one player, and he's young. This is the thing that annoys me with these FA executives, and that is they say, well, it comes from the bottom. I mean, it's all these English players, they're not getting their chance, and that's because we have to pay ridiculous amounts of money just to get them. Like, for example, Reece Oxford, based on his performance against Arsenal, if someone put in a bid for him, he would probably sell for about 20 plus million. And that's a sad truth as to how things have changed, because
Yeah.
people aren't getting a chance anymore. I remember when West Ham signed Dean Ashton, we didn't pay much for him. We paid, I think, 5 million for him. If Dean Ashton had signed for West Ham these days, he'd be worth 15 million. Charlie Austin, another English player, he's QPR want 15 million for him. Yes, he's a natural goal scorer, but because he's English, he's worth 15 million. If this was someone that was German or French or something like that, it'd be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And this is the hurdle that the FA needs to get over, and the teams need to get over. It's the fact that we have to pay too much for the English players, and that is why clubs are thinking, oh, you know what? That African guy playing in the French league looks pretty good. Why don't we come and sign him? Because it was a record low of English players starting in the game week 1 of the Premier League. And that is simply because of the extortionate price of English players.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of the big teams. Arsenal, very good with their UK-based players. They've got quite a few. But then you think about it, Chelsea, John Terry, Gary Cahill. They're the two I can rattle off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Man United, Luke Shaw. Chris Smalling. That's another 2. Liverpool have a fair few. Well, they used to anyway. I don't know if they still do. But this is something that these big players need, these big teams even, they need to start setting an example for the teams lower down in the league. So West Ham have gone out last year. They bought Diafra Sakho for 2.5 million. Diafra Sakho was 2.5 million, and he scored 10 goals last season. Whereas Wayne Rooney, worth, what, I don't know, 30, 40 million? He scored 9 goals. He scored 9 goals last year. That is one thing that I just don't get about the football these days. I don't want to get into it too much because it actually makes me angry talking about how English players are always
like him when he's angry.
English players are always looked down on, and everyone always assumes that, oh well, he's going to be a bit too expensive and things like that. And that's the sad truth that they are. You cannot get a decent English player anymore for below 10 million. I'm going to leave it at that because otherwise I'm going to start going into all these different tangents like I always do.
Well, Delph was signed for 8 million.
Yeah, but that's because he had a release clause.
Yeah, that's the only one I can rattle off in the last few years that's been cheap.
Yeah, but the reason that Delph went to Man City for 8 million is because in his contract that he signed back in January, his 5-year deal, in that contract it said that he had an 8 million release clause that he could go to Champions League clubs, I believe, for 8 million.
Yeah.
If he didn't have that clause in his contract, he wouldn't have gone for anything less than 15 million.
Yeah.
And that's how football's changed. And the FA need to realise that, and they need to help lower teams as such with their facilities, because Premier League teams can afford all the big, good facilities and everything, but they're not given the support that they need to actually harvest young youth players. And a lot of players now, they're not even bothering with their own youth teams. Like Chelsea, for a number of years, and I don't know how many people know this, but they've bought their youth players. A lot of their academy graduates are ex-West Ham, ex-Crew, ex-Liverpool, ex-whatever. Chelsea buy their youth, and that's why they win quite a lot.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'll stop there because otherwise I'm going to completely go mad.
And you see, I promised a shorts podcast, and now this podcast is over 5 hours long. But,
if you let me carry on, it would have been.
But that's a little bit on English players. I have to agree with most comments. They're ridiculously overpriced, and the only reason they're overpriced is because people need them. The lack of support given to English players, like grassroots, youth level, because they're brought in so much, is because when you come into the season, or like Champions League, for example, you need 8 players from England at least, or homegrown in England. You need 4 players homegrown in your club. So there's the reason why people are so expensive, and that is just how it will be until something changes and money is pumped into grassroots level, because that's the only way things are going to change.
I did see that the FA pumped 250 million into grassroots football this year, which is a good thing to see, but I don't see why we don't do things like what they did in Germany. You think about the German team back in 2002 was the beginning of the team that won the World Cup in 2014.
Yeah.
It only takes 12 years to create a World Cup winning team with world-class players. And that's something that the FA need to look at. They need to look at the Germans, they need to look at the Spanish, the way that they've changed their teams over the years, and all of a sudden they've got all these fantastic players in their leagues that are their own homegrown players. We've got good players, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the England youth system at the moment, like, there's quite a few English youth players that look like they could be very good. But they need to have the right nurturing and the right sort of teaching, and they can't be forced out of the team by players like Mario Balotelli. That's the sad truth. Mario Balotelli is probably holding out some young English talent at Liverpool. Yeah. And people like Andy Carroll, he's like 27 now, wasted his career through injury. West Ham needs to start thinking about English youth. I don't really think we've got many English strikers at the moment. I could be wrong.
Race Oxford.
Oxford can play wherever he wants.
Oxford's the next big thing. What is that? Oh, stick him in goal. That's all right.
Yeah.
Stick him in goal.
He could play in goal. I mean, Adrian's ban's been kept. It's not been overturned.
Yeah. Rightly so.
Yeah. Means we got the. I don't want to be mean, but the waste of space in goal next week.
Darren Randolph.
He's awful. We're going to lose 7-0 to Bournemouth.
Oh, give Bournemouth a chance to get their first win, though. I'm sure you won't mind that.
I won't mind that, yeah. If we do lose to Bournemouth, I won't be too peed off, to be fair.
You're like, oh, it's okay. Give us a charity every once in a while.
Yeah. Jesus. We should move on, Kurt.
Let's move on. We're going on to transfers now. I was going to talk about Soldado to Villarreal, but I can't be bothered. He's moved. He's gone. Only Adebayor to go now for Spurs fans. I'm pretty sure you'll be happy about that. Let's move on to the next one I've got, which is confirmed during the City-Chelsea game, or just before, just after, Baba Rahman to Chelsea, which is the player we didn't name earlier, which gives them the opportunity because, you've got pace on left, and then you can have pace on the right in Aspilicueta. You have Zuma and Cahill in the middle, that could be a quite formidable defence for the next few years, and it gives Chelsea options now with Babarama coming in.
It gives them more options, but I still don't think they fix their defensive issues just by signing
Oh
some
no,
Ghanaian
neither do
left
I.
back from the
No.
Bundesliga. I mean, the thing is with the Bundesliga, and it's used to be one of the best leagues in the world, but the Premier League is still the most competitive league in the world. You think about it, mid-table clubs, i.e. Stoke, have signed Xherdan Shaqiri.
Yeah.
This is someone that played for the top club in Germany a few years ago. So German football isn't what it once was. It's got 3 or 4 really good teams, and the rest are a little bit like the the BBVA, where it's just, they're all right, but they're not fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, on their day, they could probably give anyone a good game, like Werder Bremen and teams like that, but they've not got the sort of players that the Premier League teams now have. I mean, West Ham signed Dimitri Payet. Still beyond me at the moment. Stoke signed Shaqiri. It's also beyond me. These are mid-table teams signing big players, and it's something that's quite obvious that the Premier League has a lot of power at the moment with their money. But the Bundesliga has 2-3 teams that could be considered Champions League contenders, which isn't terrible, but the rest of them aren't exactly pushing for those places. But because Baba Rahman played for Augsburg, I think it was.
Yeah, Augsburg.
That's not exactly a top team, and it could be a little bit like the whole. I'm not going to say that Scott Parker was a bad player, but the Scott Parker thing, where he shone out in West Ham's relegation season. It could be that case that Baba Rahman just looked good compared to the other players he was playing with.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't want to give any sort of harsh judgments on him yet. I mean, he's only just bloody joined the team, but he could be a good player. He's pacey. He's probably quite strong as well. So I think he'll do all right. But he's not to be nurtured. He's an option, yeah.
£6 million on Fantasy Premier League. Get your hands on him.
I'm not doing that.
That's might be good though. What?
Club Brugge just took off someone called Diaby. I looked at it, it was Abdoulaye Diaby. I was like, no! I was so close. I thought it was Abu Diaby.
But we're done with Babarama. It's it could be another Felipe Lloris. It could be, that they did need some left backs. With one left back or one, basically they had 2 right backs, and one of them could play left back very well. That's all their defence had, and they did need to sign another player. I think they need to sign another centre back, but it's one step in the right direction for Chelsea. Moving on, we have quite a signing, I have to admit, and this team is, although they're very Italian based, they're looking very good. And I'm going to talk about another player that might be joining, or is rumoured to join, but this player is confirmed. It's Alessandro Diamanti to Watford.
I love Diamanti. Ex-West Ham player. I loved him when he was at West Ham. I don't know. I think it's because we signed him and I heard he was good. And this was when I was younger, of course. So he was sort of my favourite player back then. But he's also had a very interesting stint with me on my Football Manager career in the past, Diamanti. Playing for Everton in that number 10 position. He was a fantastic player. Became my assistant manager one day. But I could go on for years about this Diamanti relationship I had. But
this is not Football Manager podcast.
Diamanti is a player that I rate really highly, and he's a fantastic signing for Watford. Brilliant dead ball specialist, which is something that you do need sometimes to get you out of a tough situation. I mean, you think about it, 90th minute free kick in the last game of the season, Diamanti steps up, 9 times out of 10 he's going to score, and it could save Watford from getting relegated. Not that I think they're going down, because they've actually done very well this year so far, but he's an excellent addition to that squad.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with you there. I mean, they haven't had a decent, or have had 2 draws. The only team to get 2 draws. Look pretty good going forward, pretty solid coming back, and Diamanti will just add to that because it gives them another avenue to go down, because you've got decent side and all Championship sides. Well, I'm a big follower of Championship, of course, being a Sheffield Wednesday fan. And one thing, you have to be solid from set pieces, and you have to be good at set pieces. And with someone like Diamanti coming in, with most teams in the Championship, trained to be good on the set pieces, they'll be deadly. And with players like Deeney to finish off, you've got Ighalo as well. Watford, I think it's something to be scared, and it's a sort of a deterrent as well, because teams now won't be looking to maybe get the odd tackle in 30 yards out, because they know Diamante's going to step up on it, and 9 times out of 10 he's going to deliver an absolute pearl of a ball in there, and they'll be in trouble, and they could be under real pressure if teams give away free kicks, and that's the thing Watford have to their advantage now.
Yeah, that's very true. I actually think they've got quite a big side, Watford. They're not exactly small.
They've
So
signed
they
12
could be,
players this season already.
they could be very threatening this year, especially from set pieces as well. Deeney's a big guy, that's for sure. But I, for Watford's sake, I hope they stay up, because I don't mind Watford as a team personally.
Yeah, and we'll move on straight away to Aston Villa, and not that recent, but they've confirmed the signing of Adama Traore, the ex-Barcelona winger. I've got to be perfectly honest straight away, I don't really know much about him, and I'm not gonna lie and be like one of those people, I've watched all his games on YouTube, I think he's a quality player. I have no idea what he plays like. For all I know, he could be 6'7" and white, or 4'3" and black. I'm not gonna lie, I've no idea. I hope you know something about him.
I don't really know a hell of a lot about him, to be honest. All I know is that in the past in Football Manager he's had a decent potential, but seeing as he's moved to Aston Villa, I guess that's going to go down now. But I don't know, he's... For Barcelona to let him go, I don't really think he's got a huge amount of potential. And especially as he's joined Aston Villa.
Oh, what are you saying?
I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying, they haven't got Benteke anymore. But... I don't... Oh, God. Oh, dear.
What?
Romero basically just dived. He's just dived. That's ridiculous. Right. I don't think he's going to be any good, to be honest.
Well, we'll
Championship player.
Move on swiftly from that then to our last player. Again, I have no idea about this player either. I just thought I'd put him in there because he's joined the top 6 team. Something Ng to Spurs.
I've actually heard he's got a lot of potential.
Clinton Ng from Lyon.
I've heard that he's got a lot of potential, and apparently he rejected a move to Arsenal, which is probably better for his career, seeing as Arsenal have too many midfielders as it is already.
He's a striker.
He's a right mid.
He's a striker.
He's a striker?
It says here on
I thought he
BBC
was a
Sport,
winger.
Clinton Ng, Tottenham signed Lyon striker on a 5-year deal.
I swear he was a winger.
He's a striker.
Alright, okay, well he's a striker, that's even better. So, I mean, he might give that injection of pace that Spurs definitely need, but I don't know. He's had one good season, I think, at Lyon, and now he's moved to Spurs. He needs to be given an opportunity to show what he's got. That's all I've really got to say on him.
Well, there, get that off. We've talked about him as well.
Yeah.
Now, let's move on to the part I like the most, and it's because I don't really have to do much talking, and last time we went off in such a big tangent, I think about David De Gea or something.
It wasn't David De Gea, I'm pretty sure it was how Champions League teams, Barcelona are superior.
Yeah.
It's funny how I said Barcelona were superior, then they lost 4-0 to Athletic Bilbao.
Ronaldo's sitting there like, ha, lol.
That would have been PK. Oh, no, wait, wouldn't. It should have been PK, but it wasn't.
But the first thing on rumour has it, I'm going to delete off now, I'll just say a quick word on it. I put Stones going nowhere, £30 million bid rejected. We've already pretty much talked about John Stones, he's better off at Everton, and Martinez wants to keep him, so we'll get rid of that and move straight on to the next one, which is Barini's moving. We've pretty much secured that. However, not to Sunderland. Rumour has it that Sunderland are going to miss out because he will be going to Inter Milan.
I thought it was Fiorentina.
I need to check my sources. But either way, he's not going
to be
to
fair, if you've
Sunderland.
if you've seen it, then yeah, I don't think he would have gone to Sunderland anyway. Sunderland aren't the sort of team he wants to join in, and hopefully West Ham aren't as well. But he's gone to. If he goes to Inter Milan, he'll go there. Hopefully, have quite a good few years. I used to rate Barini quite a lot back in the Chelsea reserve days.
Yeah.
But then he just flitted off into the wind when he joined Liverpool, and he got, I would say, wasted there. I think he had a good season at Roma when he was on loan, but I've not really got much to say about Barini. He's not really showed to me why he was considered one of the best future players in the world.
I have to agree.
But yeah, hopefully he does all right. I've not got any problems with Barini as long as he doesn't join West Ham.
Well, so Barini's not joining West Ham. We hope. Here, having a West Ham fan next to me, I think if I said anything else, I'd probably be on someone. Yeah, something like that. But someone who we've talked about a bit, and I'm gonna say no words. I'll let you talk about it. Like I said, West Ham fan, Charlie Austin to West Ham. Go.
David Gold, if you're watching this, please sign Charlie Austin. He is 10 million times better than Andy Carroll, and I want Charlie Austin to come in and show the Premier League that he can do it anywhere else but Stoke. QPR. I want him to come to West Ham and show us what he can do. I mean, we need a striker, there's no doubt about that. We've got Diafra Sakho, and that's our only striker at the moment.
Right, in Valencia. Oh, no, he's injured.
He's injured.
Yeah,
he's injured.
Sorry.
And Zarate, he's also fit, but he's not exactly my favourite striker. But I think that we should sign Charlie Austin, you know, considering how many goals he scored last year for a team that it doesn't exactly... that wasn't the best team in the league, shall we say. I think that with the likes of Dimitri Payet and Mark Noble pinging in the balls to him, he could score quite a few goals. If we have Sakho on one wing and Valencia on the other as well, he could be a formidable player at West Ham, and he could really give us a push for that top half finish.
Yeah. I
would love us to sign him.
So that's Austin to West Ham done. This next one is quite a strange one. It's not really a big rumour, but I saw it and I thought I have to include it. Rumour has it Mario Balotelli could be on his way to Watford.
Watford?
I saw that on BBC Sport and I confirmed it, and I saw it on Google with a few other places. Apparently Watford are interested in trying to get Mario Balotelli.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised due to their strong Italian link. But really? Watford? He wouldn't go.
I don't think he'd go either.
He wouldn't go. He's. I think I know why he wants to stay at Liverpool, and that's that massive signing on fee that he's got if he doesn't leave the club.
Yeah.
But if I was him, I'd leave Liverpool as soon as possible, because it's just he's now probably the third choice striker behind Sturridge and Benteke.
And Ings.
And Ings, yeah, fourth choice probably.
Yeah.
I forgot about Ings. I always forget about Ings because he was like day one of the transfer window.
No one cares about you, my friend.
Oh no, nobody cares no more.
But I'll move on to, again, another one relating to West Ham. And this is that apparently Everton are interested in signing West Ham's favourite person, Alex Song.
They can have him.
Okay, let's move straight on from that then.
He failed his medical at West Ham because he is having something done on his knee, I believe, and he's had an operation and he can't actually play till the end of October. But that's not why I don't want him. I do think he's a quality player, but I don't really think that we need him anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that, Reece Oxford's going to play week in, week out and he's going to be just as good as Alex Song. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if we don't have Alex Song there, we put Noble there, and Pedro Obiang can play in centre mid. We don't really need him anymore. If he goes to Everton, I'll be quite happy because I quite like Everton as a team. There's quite a few people that know that play Football Manager with me. I'm a massive fan of him. But
I get the feeling that the Football Manager series is going to start on your side as Everton, I'll start as Newcastle. Just going to put it out there.
I get that feeling as well. Football Manager beta, no doubt I'll start as West Ham just to prove a point, because I always do that. But, yeah, I mean, I hope he leaves Barca, because he's wasted there, to be honest.
I have to agree. Not going to play.
And I think the thing is with Alex Song is he showed at the start of last season what he could do, but at the end of last season he also showed the bad side of Alex Song.
Yeah. Naughty.
Yeah, not so much naughty, but he just wasn't performing to the same level, and he kept on trying to beat players 3 or 4 times before releasing the ball, and he'd lose the ball in the middle of midfield. And I remember him doing that quite a few times against Spurs and Man United, and that really cost us in the end.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on now. This one is the second to last one. This one is quite big, and I read that, and no, I had to double take because I didn't quite believe it. But this is apparently what has come out. But rumour has it, PSG have told Zlatan Ibrahimovic that he can leave the club for I believe a cut deal, and Manchester United and Arsenal both are looking at potentially signing him.
I did see that as well. I think that he should leave PSG. It doesn't look like he's wanted there anymore, even though last season he scored 19 goals in 23 games.
Yeah.
Which, of a man of 34 years old, is absolutely friggin' ridiculous. But I think he should leave PSG, but I've also heard that AC Milan are in for him.
Yeah, I did see AC Milan also are interested in him.
I think he should leave PSG. I like Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I want him to come to the Premier League just because then he will be one of the only players in the world to have ever won every single top league in Europe.
Yeah.
And that is the French league. Actually, no, he hasn't won the German league. He hasn't won the Bundesliga.
Yeah. Maybe Bayern Munich, are you interested?
Borussia Dortmund, go in for him, please.
Oh, Aubameyang and Ibra. I can't even want to think about that.
Imagine that. That's big man, little man, isn't it? I mean, Aubameyang's not small, but I'm just thinking of the pace of the little man. But,
yeah.
Yeah, he's won the French league, the Spanish league, the Italian league. He just needs to win the English league now, and probably the German league. But, you know, you can do that when you're 40, Zlatan.
He'll still be fit, don't worry.
He'll be playing to the same age as Zanetti. I think that's what John Terry wants to do.
I doubt he'll do it at Chelsea.
No, I doubt he'll do it at Chelsea as well.
And lastly, this one wasn't on there until a few minutes ago, and I just fluttering about, and I saw it. I have to admit, I got excited. You know, I started smiling. I also came
Heskey to Sheffield Wednesday.
close. Not going to lie.
That's actually close.
It's a big black target man in Kenwyne Jones. Apparently, is rumoured to be joining Wednesday soon.
Really?
This is quite a while back. I sort of think it was like a week and a half back that Wednesday are apparently interested in him. But the only problem is I can't see it happening because of the squad that we have. I mean, we have made a lot of signings, but we have Nuhiu who can do that job. We have Lucas Zhao who can do that job. We have Bush to a point who can do that job. You know. And I feel like target man wise, I'd love to see him at Wednesday. I mean, the last time he was at Wednesday, he scored in every game he played, 7 goals and 7 games played, which is fantastic. And just in general, I'd love to see him join because I think he's a fantastic player. I really rate him, and he'll do the old school number 9 job of like being the target man, and he'll do it well. And at a club like Wednesday, when you've got Ross Wallace there, you've got Marco Matthias, you've got Alex Lopez, you've got players all around the pitch that can support him. And yeah, he'll do a better job than Nuhiu did against Ipswich when I went to go and see Ipswich Sheffield Wednesday because he was playing like a horse, Nuhiu. So hopefully we can bring in Kenwyne Jones. As much as I don't think he'd fit into the squad, we have to probably let Stevie May go or maybe even Nuhiu go, which I would not allow. We can't have Kenwyne Jones then. But I think it'd make a good signing for us, even though it is highly unlikely, and it is still going around the rumour mill. It hasn't gone away. But I'd really like to see Kenwyne Jones back at Sheffield Wednesday again.
I would like Kenwyne Jones at Sheffield Wednesday just because it gives me a reason to like Kenwyne Jones again. He'll be a good player for you. He's got Premier League experience, not a lot, but he's got some. Decent target man. I don't see why you shouldn't go in for him, to be honest. Might as well. But you will have to get rid of one of your key formidable strikers, of course.
Yeah. And I can't see anyone going because we've got Zhao, who's new, Bush, who's new, and we've got Nuhiu. I don't think he will leave with a year left. Stevie May, that would be getting rid of the wrong type of striker, and that leaves basically Cohen and Lavery to come on and play, the small, pacey man job. I don't think I can see that happening, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's all for the rumour mill, or rumour has it. delete that off. We have nothing else to talk about. We found out that Chelsea can't take big black dicks of Manchester City players, and they get terrorised by them, especially Ivanovic, he's quite a big lad, so you thought about taking it, but nope, can't take it. We found out United are very boring, Sunderland are in a crisis, and Saints really need to improve and actually, learn to say, no, you're not signing
and
our
Leicester
players.
are scary.
I forgot to talk about that. West Ham lost, and Adrian lost his temper and fly kicked someone in the chest.
Yeah.
But
They're
anyways,
signing Rob Green as well, apparently.
I did see that, but I didn't put it in there because I thought, surely
be
you
very
can't
happy.
be signing Rob Green.
I'd be happy. Get rid of bloody Darren Randolph.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But anyways, we end it here. I think we've just gone over an hour mark, or
Yeah,
just
we
about an hour.
just made it. Yeah, 1 hour, 1 minute and 4 seconds.
Yes, that is good. But thank you guys for watching anyway. If you like this video, leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and subscribe if you feel like I'm worthy. Any last words, Joe?
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I doubt any of you made it to the end. I wouldn't have, but
Yeah,
have
fuck you
a
all.
good day, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. And Kurt's.
Yes, please, thank you.
But mainly mine. And I'll see you in my next video.
Fuck you, Joe. Peace.